Today's session we're going to be working on kumyuchi. Kumyuchi is kind of it's kind of synonymous with the history of Jujutsu. Kumyuchi does mean grappling. That's the way that it's interpreted and the way that it's used within martial arts or classical martial arts, or some people call Koryu or Koryu Bujutsu, right? But when you look at kumyuchi, there really has three different sections of kumyuchi. And today I want to explore all three. I don't want to just get to one, okay? One section of kumyuchi, and again, we can use the word kumyuchi, or we could say jujutsu, or we could just simply say grappling. You can when we're talking about martial arts and the way that you use it, those words you can use interchangeably. But if you got specific as to what the kanji means and how it would be used in a specific time period, then you can't use the word interchangeably. But for what I'm talking about here, we're talking about just grappling as a generic idea, or jujutsu, or kumyuchi, or yawara. There's lots of different words that you can use for that purpose, okay? But when you're dealing with whichever one of those words you want to use, kumyuchi, you have three basic sections, okay? And from grappling, okay, from a grappling perspective, you've got grappling to where they're grabbing you, but you're not grabbing them. The perfect example of this is maybe someone comes up and grabs you by the wrist, like you've seen those kind of techniques where someone does like a grab to the wrist and they've got their other hand up like they're going to throw a punch, and you have some sort of defensive drill or tactic or self-defense move or whatever it is, some sort of counter to that particular grab. So the first section when you're dealing with kumyuchi, especially from a self-defense perspective, is they're grabbing you, but you're not grabbing them. Okay, so that's almost like a surprise attack. Someone walks up and grabs you, they're trying to beat the shit out of you, okay? The second section is when they grab you and you grab them back, okay? We, all the time, and here that is what we call kumyuchi, okay? Here in our school, we definitely use that as a term, and I say, okay guys, kumyuchi, you guys know that means you grab them, they grab you, like we're getting ready to do nagewaza. Now, nagewaza is throwing techniques, and that section right there, that's where you see a lot of those throws. Now, some martial arts won't call that particular position kumyuchi. They'll call it the clinch, or infighting, or close quarter combat. Again, lots of different words. People use different words to kind of fit the talent or the student body or whatever the idea that they're trying to teach. Okay, but in the day, if I'm grabbing you, you're grabbing me, we're in this kumyuchi grappling, we're like that. That's the second part. The third area of training is when you both hit the ground, right? And that's newaza, right? N-E and then W-A-Z-A, newaza, and that's the ground technique. You can also say chiwaza, it's also known as chiwaza, or earth technique. So, and that's the grappling. Now, when you're looking at it from a functional perspective, okay, from a self-defense, you have a better chance, statistically, someone's going to grab you, and you can either do a technique against the grab that they're grabbing you, or you can then move to the second section, you grab them. You catch what I'm saying? You can't get to the ground without something happening. Now I know there's people that do the sport martial arts and they try to do the whole idea of, like, in a self-defense situation, if someone has a gun, a knife, a stick, multiple attackers and all this shit, that you're just going to spread your legs and pull some dude between your legs and think you're going to beat their ass from that position. And I know everyone likes to promote this fun sport nowadays, tends to be the common talk about the martial arts, but it's just not very realistic when it comes to self-defense. You don't want to sit there and grapple around with someone who's trying to fucking gut you like a fish, or put a gun to your head and then you do a double leg takedown. I mean, it's just, there are certain aspects to the ground fighting, what we would call newaza, that's absolutely just stupid when it comes to self-defense. However, when you talk about grappling in general, not just on the ground, but from all three areas, whether it's grab or you grab them, they grab you, well then yeah, there's lots of jujutsu techniques and waza or kata that you can use in those particular situations, whether it's a knife or a gun or whatever, but that's not on the ground. So I know that you see a lot of things nowadays, the wrestling or the grappling on the ground tends to be a very popular thing. And that's not, and I'm not taking anything away from those people that practice those kind of things. I think they're very good athletes and very good at what they do. But it doesn't hold a lot of water when it comes to actual self-defense. Nobody in the modern day comes up to kick your ass without a weapon. No one does. I mean, no one does. I mean, I don't even know what the stat of that is, but when you look at the stats of how many people get shot, how many people get stabbed, how many people get fucking multiple attackers, get the shit kicked out of them with a bat or some sort of a bludgeoning weapon, the statistics of hand-to-hand, no weapon involved, and that person was coming up to beat you up to take your wallet, like that is a very, very low stat compared to the other. You know what I mean? And there's never a time with someone that has a knife or a gun, or particularly multiple attackers, where I want to pull you down to the ground and wrap my legs around you in the fucking parking lot. Like, that's just not smart, right? Now, why am I bringing this up? Because we're talking about history here, about history of Kumyuch, and everyone tends to think grappling is the way of the samurai. It's an aspect, but is a very small aspect. There is never a time that a samurai is in full armor rolling around on the fucking ground, because there's all these people running around with spears and swords and bow and arrows. If you're on the ground rolling the fuck around, you're dead. One person's just gonna walk by and, okay, you're dead, and then you're going on. Do you catch what I mean? Like, they're just killing each other on the battlefield. This is the dumbest thing. So when we're talking about, we teach Koryu, and we're teaching things that in a realm of self-defense, and this idea that someone's trying to seriously harm us with lethal force, you know, yes, we want to be able to grapple. We're going to grapple. You guys do the grappling rounds and roll around, try to lock each other out and choke each other out. I think it's a good skill set. But remember, I've always said this, that aspect of training is like a sand wedge. If you've ever played golf, you have your drivers, you've got your putter, you chip. When you play golf, you never want to pull the sand wedge out of that fucking bag. The only time you ever pull the sand wedge out of the bag is if you hit your ball in the bunker. That's it. No one wants to put the ball in the bunker. No one wants to use a sand wedge. That's exactly how ground fighting is. You never want to go to the ground and have to use it, because it puts you at a very disadvantageous position. Because if they're attacking you, pack animals travel in a pack. So if you take your ass to the fucking ground, Bob's running up with his buddy and kicking your head into the fucking curb while they're taking your shit and stealing your car. You know what I mean? You don't go on the ground with someone with a knife, gun, and all this other shit. You catch what I'm saying? So it's just not smart. And from a samurai military perspective, it wasn't the thing to do. They focused more on the, you grab me and I would counter that particular grab and then do what I'm doing, or you grab, I grab. But most of the two, I'll use the word clinch, it's a more modern term. Most of the people from the clinch are using that position for nagewaza, or throwing techniques, okay? Now when you look at our lineage, the Tenjin Ryu, you have a lineage, extended lineage, and all this kind of stuff. But the Takeda Ryu Bujutsu is, or the Takeda Ryu is where a lot of the techniques that we use come from. So from a historical perspective, when you look at the lineage charts and all that kind of stuff, that's where a lot of our techniques tend to be in line. And I think that's important. I know that right now this isn't a history lesson, and I'm not really going to get into the lineage right now. That's not for this particular video. We'll do it another time. But I do think it's very important to realize that in here at the Budo Ryu Kai, we have these 7 traditions, and one of our 7, Tenjin Ryu Jujutsu, one of our traditions, you know, there isn't any of these 7 traditions that I've made a kata. I didn't create anything. You know what I mean? I may have created the organization and, you know, this way of training in these traditions so we can develop a skill set. But, you know, I stand against those people that like to make up their own shit and create their own thing. And we have history right here, these scrolls and these things that have lasted the test of time. And people went to the battlefield and they killed each other on the battlefield. And we have these techniques that they're battle tested. You know what I mean? Why do I need to change that? I don't. I just need to make sure that I pass the torch on to you guys so you guys can learn the same information. You have the skill set. I don't need to make up shit. You know what I mean? So I think that's also really important to know too, that you guys are training in something that the techniques do work. They've been proven to work. Now, you guys, what we're doing now is trying to develop a way for your guys' skill set to learn how to do proper jujutsu. How do you do jujutsu with them grabbing you? How do you do your proper jujutsu techniques with they grab you, you grab back? How do you do proper jujutsu in case you do end up in the bunker, in case you do are in the shittiest situation and now you have to roll on the ground and you have to get yourself in a better position to lock them out, choke them out, or evade, or create distance or something, right? Get to a way that you guys can get to your weapon if you're carrying a weapon as well. So I think what's important is the skill set, being able to have the skills necessary to protect yourself in the situation where Jiu-Jitsu can be an answer for the